Russell Westbrook, finally a Denver Nugget. Well, not technically, but it's Woj official, which is pretty close to technically. We're going to break it down from every single angle on today's show. This is DNVR Nuggets. Oh, baby. Man, some vibes on a Thursday. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? What is up, everybody? Welcome to the NBA show. There it is. We are live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Frontline Toyota Stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of the DNVR. The Toyota chat is popping right now.
The Westbrook
on
chat,
YouTube,
dude.
man. People are really talking about this one. And also, this is sort of a watch-along as well, as the Denver Nuggets Summer League team is in the middle of a basketball game right now that they might win. They might actually get a dub.
What?
So who knows, man? Maybe something crazy will happen on that front. But the show is all about Russell Westbrook. I'm excited for all the topics we have outlined about it because we've been speculating about it for a while, and it's finally here. And to talk about it, we got Brennan Vogt.
What a twist. What a turn in the Jokic saga. I mean, we knew this move was coming, fellas, but Russell Westbrook to Denver?
Yeah.
It's just one of those you probably didn't see coming 5 years ago.
Probably
Excited
is.
to break it down with the fellas.
Then over here, I got D-Line Co.
If I had to explain this to myself 5 years ago, I would be like, so I'm not a Nuggets fan, right? I've moved on. The franchise has fallen into disrepair and ruin, and we're looking to Russell Westbrook. But if you actually live every day in between then and now, pretty excited.
So you really hated Westbrook?
More than almost anybody in the league.
Really?
He was a villain. He made himself a villain. He blocked Rocky. I'm telling you, that was no small moment in Nuggets history.
You know what's
it was
funny?
the biggest
To me, it
FU
was
to
such-
fans.
That's so funny to me because I have like zero attachment to that specific part of it. Like
I was in the stand, like, you know what it's like when Rocky is making a shot. You use it as it's a weather vane as to whether or not the team is going to win.
Totally,
It is an absolute
blocked it away.
like.
I was not a fan, to be clear. I just didn't hate him like I hate James Harden.
Maybe
for
that's
example,
what
or-
went wrong last
hated
year.
him.
Shot.
Really?
Hated him. Now I love him.
I think a lot of people feel your way though.
They
You are
do.
way more in touch with how the
Yes.
average fan feels, or at least aligned with them. So a lot of people feel that way. I never felt that way, but nonetheless, it wasn't a guy I was clamoring for the Nuggets to get until obviously this summer. This is something of an emergency podcast, and that means it is presented by Indeed. In this emergency pod segment, check your what is it? Check your resume. I got it right. Why didn't I get it? Check your resume.
Maybe
It's gonna be brought
update your
to you.
resume, Adam.
Brought to you by Indeed. I might have to, actually. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. That's Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hire? You need Indeed. All right, let's check out the resume of one, Russell Westbrook. He is an NBA MVP.
Yep.
It's been a couple years.
I would lead in with that on my resume as well.
You wouldn't have buried that down at the bottom. Oh, by the way.
Closer to 8 years than a couple, also.
4 seasons with triple-double average, which is kind of insane. Then he was on the Clippers most recently. Before that, he was on the Lakers. Both of those teams. I think the Clippers liked him okay. The Lakers hated his guts.
I know. We need a
There's the
real
resume.
delousing period to come from the Lakers and the Clippers into the Nuggets. Like, if you go into prison, they put you into a whole cleaning. You can't bring bed bugs in with you. You know what I mean?
Can't bring him. Yeah, that's. I haven't been to prison for a while, but I do remember that.
Just wait.
I will say I want to hold that thought because I want to get to it in one of these segments here that we're going to do. But the very first one, let's just get to the details, shall we, Vote? First of all, this comes from Woj. First, it was that the Clippers are sending guard Russell Westbrook a second-round pick swap and cash to the Utah Jazz in a sign-and-trade agreement for guard Chris Dunn. The Chris Dunn piece of this came out a long time ago. But this piece, we were all been waiting for to see what would happen. That was the first move. Then, Westbrook is expected to agree on a contract buyout with the Jazz, clearing the way for him to eventually join the Denver Nuggets. After clearing waivers, sources tell ESPN, once Westbrook clears waivers, the expectation is that he'll join the Denver Nuggets as a free agent and bring them another veteran to bolster the team's bench and be available as a spot starter. So, first of all, shout out to Harrison Wind. Right, had all the details. You first heard about this, by the way, on the show like
Absolutely.
5 weeks ago or something like that.
We told you everything that was going to happen.
We went 4 for 4 this offseason. Deron Holmes, Dario Saric, Russell Westbrook, and even the Vlatko Čančar opting out, then opting back in. Hat tip, although to that one on Jake Coyne, who first had it as an idea, but then sourced obviously here at DNVR. But the way it happened exactly according to plan, and that is part of this. Is for me at least, is for all of the way that this offseason has just been so bizarre
Consternation.
in so many ways, and honestly uncomfortable in so many ways. It is kind of funny that it just followed the exact script.
Yeah, if you would like somewhere to direct discontent, let it be with the plan, but not that there wasn't one.
Yeah.
They, in fact, lo and behold, had one. And it was Saric, which I'm trying to get right, Saric
Right.
and Westbrook. And as we told you, this was the plan for a while. I do think it feels often like free agency sometimes is how it works in video games, where it just starts and it's who's the first to get to the available guy.
It used to be, though, is the thing.
Once upon a time, a lot of these deals are worked out one way or another, or expected one way or another. So you absolutely reserve the right to dislike the plan.
Yeah, it's sports, man.
But I would stress that there was definitely a plan. And in fact, including the KCP part, it's all gone according to their plan so far. Now, again, good plan, bad plan, up to discussion. But there clearly was one. And thus far, this offseason has gone, I think, the way Booth and company expected.
Yeah, in years past, it always felt like the Nuggets were just sort of waiting for the scraps to figure out what they were going to do.
true.
You wait for the big teams to make their moves. Whoever they don't want, we can maybe get this guy. Maybe they get the. We don't ever get any guys. This is refreshing because it is an era where, regardless if you feel like about Russell Westbrook the way I do, and you have disdain for him, he still is a former MVP. He's a guy that could really probably go anywhere he wants, especially at a minimum salary. He wants to come to Denver. Like, that is meaningful in that, before Paul Millsap was the guy that we couldn't believe we could get, and we had to massively overpay him to get him. And now, with Jokic and the success, it's like it's a different world.
I mean, that being said, Westbrook's not exactly the guy every team is clamoring for. He comes with a certain amount of risk.
Right, but at that dollar amount, and just the idea that the Nuggets, I can't imagine the only team that could talk themselves into a Russell Westbrook.
The truth is that I don't think anybody else tried, and the reason they didn't try is because Russell Westbrook wanted to come to Denver, and how this went down really was, from what I've heard, is that DeAndre Jordan brokered this deal in a lot of ways. DeAndre Jordan has loved it here. He's enjoyed his time. I think he has good things to say about it. He's obviously coming back on another one-year deal. And is good friends with Russell Westbrook. And this was a thing where, they talked and, hey, I think this would be a good fit for you, man. I know you've had some bad stops recently if you forget he's in Washington, then he goes to the Lakers, he goes to the Clippers. He's had a rough go where you look at it and say one angle of this is he's played with a lot of clowns lately and a lot of clown organizations. So he starts that conversation. Jokic brought into the fold, and Jokic gives his stamp of approval. I believe some conversations even, between Russ and Nikola, and it was like, yeah, man, it sounds like this is everybody's on board. Something that happened allowed Jokic to feel confident enough to say, not a demand. I've seen this be reported as like Jokic demanded it. Jokic went to the front office and said, do this. But I think it was more than just that'd be cool. I think it was more than that. Like Jokic actually advocating for this to be a thing.
Idea.
This is a good idea. We've talked about some things that I think will work kind of situation. So that's how it comes together. And I think that's kind of a cool way for it to come together.
I do too. I'm actually going to start with the Jordan part of this though, because I think you can go back to the Bruce Brown signing. A lot of detail, a lot went into that. The context of him somehow falling to the Denver for that price point. But we always wondered what would it take to get ring chasers that are kind of in the NBA club, right? The guys that typically are talked about to look towards Denver. And I actually thought Jeff Green and DeAndre Jordan coming here and enjoying it and winning here was probably what opened that door. I mean, I think that's what opened that door. Initially bringing Bruce, then winning together. These are guys that are in the NBA club, man, DeAndre and Jeff, in a way that Denver and some of its players traditionally have not been. And I think them maybe like being able to not just recruit, but kind of co-sign and validate. Like, yeah, man, I think it's a good spot for you. Yeah, you'll like it. Yeah,
Nuggets culture.
Why. Maybe it starts presenting itself. And again, what we're talking about here are big name pickups on minimum type deals. It's not like they grabbed some world-beating all-star at the peak of his powers. But that was something we always wondered, when will that happen for Denver? How will that happen for Denver?
Luckily, they have one of those.
And I just wonder if it's DeAndre and Jeff at once upon a time.
Yeah. But I think that's a big deal. I mean, it really is something that is... Here's the thing. Been covering the league now for 10 years. It really is something about... There's a purity to not knowing anything, because then you just talk about all aspects of it, and it strictly becomes a game of fantasy football. All the little layers that you learn from covering it year after year, all the dynamics of what role does an agent play and friendship and all this stuff, like, it really makes you realize that is more than half of all of this.
Yep.
More than half of it is just like, are there relationships on the team that reach out to relationships over there, and can that broker a deal to get a player to want to come over? And it honestly complicates the way you even think about the game. Honestly, it
Yes.
because there's all these layers. Another one of these layers, by the way, Russ gets double pay here if it works out the way Woj is reporting. He gets bought out from his current contract, with the with the Utah Jazz now. Gets bought out, then gets a new contract with Denver. So this is another thing about, and I talked about this on the show yesterday, kind of a power move by super agent Jeff Schwartz, XL Management, who also reps, at least in part, reps Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic and Vlatko Cancar. So kind of an interesting little wrinkle to all of this.
Yeah, I mean,
double pay.
Yeah, it is. It is funny. I'm getting more and more exposed to this world. Also, it is not what you think. It is not as big as you think. It is not as established. They're not like. It's always funny too when people just like propose trades with the concept of like absolute value for a player. Like, you should be able to get this for this and this for this, and just like, yeah, like there's not that many decision makers, and NBA players are like it's kind of like just like a club, like just like a cool guy club, and the rules that you think that apply to the rest of society have no place in the NBA. So, to me, honestly, like the major takeaway from this is that this is just another indication that the Nuggets are in the golden era. Whether or not they're able to get more titles out of it, it's just that the Denver Nuggets are taken seriously by the NBA and all of the power players within it.
Nuggets desperately needed a point guard, and I know with Pickett being as horrible as he has been this summer, and his sort of stock closing, if you will, Trey Alexander's promising as it been. Everybody's been worried about what will the point guard spot look like, but let me say this. I'm not saying you can count anything as a win for Calvin Booth right now. And I know a lot of people, according to my mentions, are still counting even this as a loss. Like, they're already marking it down in the L column. But the one thing, whether it's win or loss, time will tell us. We'll find out depending on how the season goes. But the one thing is, Calvin Booth really wanted Durant home. So much so that it was the worst kept secret in the world. He went out and got him. Really wanted Dario Saric. Went out and got him. Really wanted Russell Westbrook. Went out and got him. Vlatko Cancar coming back was part of the plan. So you look at this and you go, whether you agree or not, time will tell what's actually right. But Cal really is one of these guys that we know enters free agency going, this is what I want to do, goes out and does it, and the timing is weird, but right or wrong, Cal has executed his game plan this summer, just like he did last summer.
That was my opening point for sure. I think there's a difference between not loving the plan and they're just not doing anything.
Yeah.
Calvin Booth absolutely has a vision. But again, you don't have to love the vision. And that's what we do here. That's why there's not just one of us on this show. Between the four of us, the three of us, however many are up here, different opinions across the chat. You're entitled to all of it. But important to remember that there was, in fact, a plan and that this was the plan. And so we'll see. I mean, I do think, while I really, really don't like just letting KCP go,
part of his plan. Again, whether you liked it or not, part of his plan.
Just short of like encouraging him to leave, But I do think the bench has a chance to be better. I do. And
I think it's gonna be better.
And I think you
could clear the lowest bar.
Chat, I think he's wrong. I know some of you do. I think I'll just end it there. We
All
can
right,
move on.
well, let's take a break here because on the other side, let's talk about Russell's fit. I'm going to break down the show for you guys. Segment 2, Russell Westbrook's fit in Denver.
Oh.
Where does he play? What's
Like
the
what
rotation look like?
like
Not
his
his
outfit?
outfits.
Oh.
We can talk about that later. Well, then, segment 3, Westbrook's culture fit. Because before we're first talk about the basketball fit, then there's a cultural. He's going to change the cultural dynamic a lot. And then lastly, Westbrook's storylines that I think make the Nuggets more interesting this year in ways that could be good or bad. We'll find out. That's the show, man. It'll be a good one.
UC Health, new partnerships, our new friends here at DNVR. We're excited to partner with them because UC Health knows how important mental health is and encourages Coloradans to live their healthiest lives through statewide initiatives that include taking care of your mental health. They want you to live like there is a tomorrow. And there will be a tomorrow. There should be a tomorrow. You certainly deserve one. And it's important to take care of your mental health, not just for yourself, but the relationships in your life, the loved ones in your life. You want to be the best version of yourself for them. You want to be able to help support them. You want them to understand how to support you. So listen, UC Health is we really like the way they're prioritizing mental health here. Former UC Health patient David Schlicht, a Colorado teenager who loves being active outdoors, is a prime example of someone taking care of their mental health and living like there is a tomorrow. His path to being an Olympic hopeful took a turn when he lost his leg after a ski training accident. Can't imagine. We use the word deflating a lot in sports media. I can't imagine mentally what that must have been like. But with the help of UC Health doctors, David decided to amputate his leg, was almost immediately able to get back to doing what he loves most, being active outdoors. It's a long journey physically and mentally, and you really can't neglect the mental side of it. So take care of your mental health today so you can have a better tomorrow. If you want to learn more about David's story and see inspiring patient stories from UC Health, you can head to uchealth.org/tomorrow to learn what it means to live like there is a tomorrow. And then, of course, our friends at Westera Credit Union. They're a Colorado company, baby. They were founded in 1934 here in Colorado with 9 locations in the Denver area. Sometimes the financial arena is one that seems kind of hard to access because there's all these big terms flying around. Maybe you're not familiar with it. Don't get overwhelmed, especially with Westera Credit Union, because education is their thing. They were started by a group of 8 school teachers, so helping others is in their DNA. And as a member, you see that come through in every interaction. It's all about education and local community with these guys. They also launched an awesome new product, Smart Money Checking. Meet the checking account designed to help you earn unheard of interest rates and a smaller balance with other great perks. If you like earning money by doing the things you're already doing with your checking account, visit westeracu.com/smartmoney. For more details, membership eligibility required, insured by NCUA, restrictions and conditions apply.
By the way, Jalen Pickett checked out in the first quarter. I do not believe he's come back in, and now they start the third quarter, and he is not on the court. So
I think Jalen Pickett checked out in the first game.
I think he really did. Honestly, he really did, and has never recovered, which is very interesting. Let's go to the Westbrook fit now in Denver. So automatically, fits really well with the bench, right? Or the bench can be better. He replaces Reggie Jackson, presumably, although we'll get to maybe not necessarily. The bench right now, if you just talk about top 10 guys, right, and you're now going to an all-bench lineup, Russell Westbrook, Julian Strawther, Peyton Watson, Vlatko Cancar, and Dario Saric would be my estimate at it. Kale, do we have the depth chart that you had put together here? I know you put together a nice graphic that has it here. And so you look at that second line, Westbrook, Strawther, Watson, Cancar, Saric. I do think you look at Zeke Naji, and you could easily see him winning out that role, especially early on in the season and him being ahead of Vlatko. That would not surprise me at all. And, of course, that battle for the 2 position, Christian Brown, Julian Strawther, and maybe even Russell Westbrook, which we'll talk about in a second. But if you just look at that, what's your first impression vote? Westbrook, Strawther, Watson, Cancar, Saric.
That I think the bench can be better. That I really do.
Feels like it.
I want to stress that we're talking about clearing a very low bar, which is really the foundation of that take. But I thought they needed at least one better option at backup big. I like adding Saric. I think they needed another ball handler. Russ on a minimum, I think, is a flyer well worth taking. I don't think... Now, there are concerns, and we'll get to them. But at the end of the day, the value of... They need a guy who can dribble. They need a guy who plays hard. They need a guy who likes being the hunter. Sorry. Like that
What about
Seriously?
Hunter?
that if you could add a guy like that
He does like
on
being
a
the hunter.
minimum, I mean, this to me, it's yeah, this signing in a vacuum, the team got better. Do you look at Russ as a replacement for KCP, Bruce Brown? No, I can't. I don't think you should. And I think if you did, you'd feel disappointed.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But
Why?
Because I don't think he is that. I don't think he's...
Well, Bruce Brown in particular. KCP, you're right. I mean, that's a shooter. That's different.
Yeah, I think Bruce Brown had like a little more... In the playoffs, he knocked down some big shots that I don't see Russ necessarily hitting. I mostly just think Russ is over the hill a little bit. And so I understand you're not getting like the best version of him as some Superman off the bench. But I think it's an upgrade over Reggie Jackson. And when you look at it like that, between Westbrook and Šarić, I think the bench has a good chance to be better, especially if Peyton looks good, especially if Julian Strawther has a little juice. So bench has a chance.
Yeah.
I'm super bullish on the bench. I really think this is a massive upgrade. Like, I think that, a guy like Russell Westbrook is such a stylistic difference from anyone we've ever had on the Nuggets before. We kind of talked about, like, this is a guy that drives downhill. Who knows how it actually plays out, whether or not we have full bench lineups or they're staggering. I could see Russell Westbrook being very good with Nikola Jokic because his ability to cut, his ability to
put pressure on the paint.
Yeah, well-meaning everybody is better with Jokic, but that's a player I think could actually play well with him. I hope that that's not exercised that often, but it is a nice change of pace. But I love what we've seen from Julian Strawther. I love what we've seen from, a little bit like I like Dario Šarić. I've always liked him. People are saying that the bench will be lesser when it comes to shooting, but I don't even know if that's true. Russell Westbrook,
will be lesser when you look at shooting?
Yeah.
That lineup, if you pull it up again, is
to
actually
me, this is better.
That's a better shooting lineup.
This is particularly with Strawther.
Strawther is good.
Very confident in his shot.
Chanchar and Šarić are both guys that can shoot as bigs, which is important.
Big stretch, front court, which is amazing. So I don't know. I see a lot of drive and kick opportunities for guys to play. The bench should play a lot differently. And, you have a true floor general out there in that he takes command, I
think what you're getting at here, which is the biggest thing to me, is whatever you think of the bench, it has a very clear identity now.
Yes.
And that identity is as much a problem for the Nuggets over the last few years as anything. What were they trying to do? And it seemed like last year it was like Reggie just dribbling the ball and trying to score.
Nothing, yeah.
But it was part of that is just Reggie's game. I think Westbrook now, there's hope that you can play faster than you have before. You know you're going to be playing through him. I think Šarić is a floor spacer, so if he is playing most of his minutes with Šarić, you have a big who can draw other guys out onto the perimeter. So the pick and pop game should be there, the dribble handoff game. So I think those two guys, Šarić and Westbrook, now become the identity of the bench. The question is, can they figure out what their two-man game looks like? And then everyone else fits around it. Strawther's a low-usage player. P-Watt, I hope he gets a chance to handle the ball if he does play in that lineup a little bit. And then Zeke Naji or Vlatko Chanchar, either one is going to have to take and make shots. Mm-hmm. That's why I think it's going to be Vlatko Chanchar over Zeke Naji, as I think he's more likely to take some shots there. But it has an identity, and to me, that's something that's important. The next question that you alluded to, D-Line, is how much will he play with Jokic? Reggie Jackson last year played 1,029 minutes with Jokic. Now, one of the reasons he played so many was because Jamal Murray was injured for 30 games last season. Nonetheless, I am more excited about that piece of this, him playing with him, not necessarily with the starters, but with Jokic, and I hope it happens.
Why?
Because Denver has never had a player with his ability to get into the paint, and when the ball gets into the paint with Jokic on the floor, the Nuggets score, assuming you don't do something dumb, like you're not being selfish or what have you. But Murray is not great at getting into the paint. He's very good and he's crafty, but he's actually not great at it. The Nuggets Monte Morris wasn't great at it. They haven't had guards. Westbrook, that is his skill. He's not necessarily great at always finishing there. But I just think that piece as a curveball of, okay, we played this dribble handoff game, but now we have a lightning quick guy that's getting into the paint. That's a tough curveball changeup to throw at a team that I think could work.
Yeah, I think my gut sort of counter is it feels like that can be mitigated by teams just really sagging off of Russ to some extent. But if you look at the numbers, despite his rapidly declining, well, I shouldn't even say declining, it was never awesome. His three-point shot that doesn't look great, he still gets to the rim pretty well. That's one thing he still does. both at a decent rate
Definitely.
and he's pretty effective there. So I think that's an interesting point. And in that sense, like if you want to look at some of the things Denver didn't have, secondary ball handling, penetration, a little bit of athleticism,
Pace.
Guys who aren't afraid to tap into the dog parts of the game, screaming, pound, getting the crowd fired up, getting teammates fired up. I mean, Russ checks a lot of those boxes. There are, I think, a lot of concerns. Like, I love just the idea of him playing alongside Jokic. I'm already kind of nervous about him closing some games where Denver has this kind of idea of how they want to close and who goes where and what happens.
Very good point.
And Russ, I think, often maybe has his own ideas of how those moments can go.
I'm less worried about starting and more worried about
closing. Maybe, just because of the decision-making factor. But if we're talking about regular season inning eater and a guy who can minutes eater, I should say, in this sport, and a guy who, like just value for the contract, I think there's plenty there, man.
What about his fit with the starters? Because we're sitting here just like, the one thing about Michael Malone is he never does exactly what you think.
Nope.
You know, he always throws a curveball into the equation.
I think he listens and does exactly not.
He does the opposite of what I think a lot of people think sometimes. But I just don't see him as a starter. I see him as to come here and be the backup guy. But Michael Malone's pointed message about the starting shooting guard not being decided yet. Russell Westbrook, if there is one critique of him, he hasn't always been a guy willing to sacrifice a whole lot, although I have to imagine he did sacrifice for the Clippers, came off the bench without too much complaint. And also, if Yo gives a stamp of approval, I don't know this. I don't know anything. But I have to imagine some of that conversation was, well, where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself in this or that? I have to imagine there was at least something there. But that being said, is there a chance he either starts or closes most games?
I don't think so. I think I would be surprised. I would be very surprised, just given the fact that he has already gone through that de-evolution of becoming a MVP to a starter to a guy like the Carmelo thing, where it was like, he was on the being interviewed and they're like, oh, I guess I'm coming off the bench. You hear this, guys? I'm coming off the bench. Big hilarious joke.
Oh my God.
And then eventually, like, Melo was comfortable coming off the bench, and he was actually like pretty effective for the teams. Like, Westbrook has gone through that. Like, the ego check has happened. Like, and now, he's not looking to come here to resurrect his career. I think, like, the framing of it as a ring chasing operation is actually like probably
accurate.
Yeah, probably pretty accurate. And I do think it's nice to have that arrow in your quiver. I'd be shocked if he started most games or
closed,
but I wouldn't be surprised if he started some, and I wouldn't be surprised if he closed some.
I think it makes Christian Brown's life a little bit harder in some ways, just because there is now a pressure. Like, I think before that, if there was no Westbrook, it's like, is Strother really going to start over Christian Brown? Come on, like, probably not. Malone's might just be doing that thing where he's like, nothing's given, everything's earned, and you can respect it. But now there really is a thing. Like, if you start the first 10 games of the year, Christian Brown is like 0% in fourth quarters from three. There is a real, like, it doesn't even have to be 10 games, 5 games where it's just struggling in the fourth quarter. There is a real pressure, both from the team and also Christian Brown would just feel it inherently of, there's somebody like hot on my neck right now. And I think that could be a bad thing. So that's one layer that Christian is going to have to prepare for, I think, this year of don't get down when and if Westbrook closes for you. And it's going to have to be a hard thing for Westbrook, too. Don't get frustrated when and if you don't close and Christian Brown looks like ass a time or two, because it's just inevitably going to happen.
I'm more worried about that direction of it.
The second one?
Yeah, I think Christian Christian is a guy who has closed in guys' steads and then has also not even been featured in playoff series during a run in which he was quite good, right? Like, maybe the 6th or 7th best player in the finals, couldn't get on the floor against the Lakers. I just think Christian is as long as they're winning and he gets a chance somewhere, he's used to this.
Yeah.
But this is, I think, years ago, before the idea of a minimum, when it was just, what do you think about Russ in Denver as a question? I think this is some of the stuff we bristled at. Like, there's whether or not we think Porter should get the ball more, Porter doesn't pout or throw a fit if he doesn't, or if Bruce Brown closes for him, or if people on this team have more or less accepted what their roles are. And this is the biggest way in which Russ is a wild card. The decision making is up there too, but to me, it's Does Malone want to close with him? Does he expect to close? And is that wise? And I think that's the stuff that is gonna that if we get friction, it's probably about that.
Yeah. I think there's also some interesting combinations. One of the things that I think will be tough for Michael Malone, and this is not an easy year for Michael Malone, by the way. I think it's a very tough one. Could be viewed as a bit of a contract year for him. He's got 1+1 left, but that's when a guy usually gets fired or extended, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you have that to play for. There's pressure to win a title, bounce back from the vibes last year, and now manage a really tough superstar in Russell Westbrook, who you have to be really careful who you put him on the court with. But if you put him with the starters, him and AG together is a little tough, but Murray, Jokic make life really easy. Michael Porter gives you spacing. Actually, I think that lineup would be good, but not perfect. The perfect one to me would probably be with him and Jokic, Murray, Porter, and one other shooter, like a Strother. Is it the best defensive lineup? No. But that's a lineup that can really put you on your heels, man, with an enormous... But first, you have length, you have athleticism, and you have shooting. And I think that's a lineup that you could see, I don't know how much we'll see it, but those are the types of lineups. The hard part is when you talk about Russell Westbrook lineups, you don't want another non-shooter or especially like a negative shooter on the court. Well, it's hard to build a 9-man rotation when you're like, we have to avoid that. He can never play with Aaron Gordon.
Right.
He could never play with Peyton Watson. Like that's where things start to get to be a little uncomfortable, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's take a break on the other side. The cultural fit, which to me is actually as interesting as the basketball fit. It's what is he bringing to the team that they've never had.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
How bizarre.
Bet365. Listen, some of you seem to have some really strong feelings about this move, one way or another. Well, just so you know, you can put your money where your mouth is at Bet365.
Hell yeah,
where they
dude.
don't do ordinary. They believe every sport should be epic. Right now, new customers can choose between 2 offers when they open an account at Bet365. Use the code DNVR365 to sign up. Choose deposit $10, then you get a choice. A bet and get offer where you place a bet of $5 or more and get $150 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer by placing a bet up to $1,000. And if your qualifying bet loses, you receive a match refund in bonus bets. Keep your eyes peeled for sweet deals like the NBA early payout offer. Once that season swings back around, you can place a bet on a team. You could win that bet when they go up by 20. They don't even have to win the game. They always do that, though, so that's fine. Must be 21 or older. Physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. And we're hanging out with you guys today, reading your chats in the Toyota Lounge and the Toyota Chat, because Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR. They've got trucks, they've got SUVs, they've got electric vehicles.
What don't they
They've got all kinds of available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drives. If you're in Colorado, there's a lot of different lifestyles you could be living, especially maybe some lifestyles in Denver are a little bit different than the fellas up in the mountains.
Sure.
You know? Maybe you commute. No matter what your Colorado deal is, there's a Toyota that's right for you. So do yourself a favor. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. There's AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe in Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is the official vehicle of the Denver Nuggets and the official vehicle of DNVR.
Toyota, free idea. The Toyota Westbrook. It charges hard.
This is a speed. It's only got 1 gear, baby. 6 gears.
Just smash down the lane, dude.
Well, it's funny you say that because this is the cultural fit now that he brings. And I'm going to tell you the number one thing I think Westbrook will bring, and it's volatile. But he's going to bring FU energy. The Nuggets have not ever had this.
We need to get somebody with FU energy on this pod. You know what I mean? Shake things up.
They had Bruce Brown as the closest they've had to this, and he had good FU energy. But Westbrook is like a 10 out of 10 all time on that energy scale. Love him. One of the reasons you hate him is he carries that with him at all times, even against the mascot. So I do think that this is something that first and foremost makes me excited about it. It is, of course, volatile, but it is one of those things that Denver has been lacking, and they finally have it big time. And I hope it rubs off on other people.
Yeah, he has huge FU energy, and the U was us. For
That's right. For a long time.
He really honestly took aim at the fans in Denver, Colorado. Like he really is
He hates fans.
He hates fans.
of all
Like he
types.
honestly gets in fights with them all the time. He is super cantankerous. This could be a double-edged sword, but it could also be a single-edged. So you can also use it to slice your opponent's fans and make them angry and get them out of sorts. The only thing that you can really look to also, if you're feeling nervous about this wild card being thrown in, is that you have a coach in Michael Malone, like that was the only. He was the boogie whisperer. He was the only guy. Boogie Cousins was the. It just has gone from place to place and butted heads with management, butted heads with players, butted heads with fans.
Yeah.
Just like an amazing player with a 0 out of 10 personality, and we loved him. Like he became beloved because of the way that Michael Malone managed that, by like allowing him to be himself, but also reining him in when it obviously, like at the end of the day, it's not like we retained his services, but it wasn't a major distraction. It actually was something that benefited the Denver Nuggets.
It certainly did in the short time he was here.
The other thing about the minimum is that if this is a bona fide disaster, can't you just move on?
Have the terms of the deal come out where they were? Oh, that's a goal 10.
Well, no.
Okay.
But I'm just talking about.
I mean, there's nothing way funnier if they sign him to a 1-year plus player option for a little bit of. I don't think they are. I don't think they
If
are.
it's a minimum and it's a disaster, you can just move on, right? And
Yeah.
like, I don't think you have to. This
Well,
I just think
you can, yes. 1 year, but yeah.
Then you have to find a solution. Yes, but I just don't think this is the same as the Lakers, as like LeBron wants to trade for Russ, and
Yeah.
now he's a big part of the team.
Right,
But now it's
exactly.
not working. Like, I don't know if it's quite that scenario. I see some people in the chat that are saying, like, how can we expect Russ to change this late in his career? I don't think that's what it's about. I think
that's when people change.
No, I don't even know if he is, or if he. I think that actually becomes a Michael Malone problem.
Well, maybe. Did you want to put an end on this point?
I think that is actually a Michael Malone problem. It's where and when is he deployed? How is this stuff managed? But I don't think you're necessarily asking Russ to reinvent himself, depending on who he's playing.
Not at all.
You know what, though? When did somebody ask Aaron Gordon about when he learned to become an unselfish player?
This is the counter.
When did he learn?
When he got to Denver. When he
Why?
teamed up with Nikola Jokic.
When he teamed up with Nikola Jokic, man, I'm telling you, Russell Westbrook in his career has played with a lot of clowns. James Harden twice.
Himself.
Kevin Durant himself, for sure. No question. No question. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. Like, he has not exactly played with guys who were, like, not supremely entitled and selfish. And you're coming now from that to Nikola Jokic. One of the reasons I believe Jokic likes Westbrook, I think there's a layered amount of reasons to him, and this, again, an informed opinion. Westbrook's real. Westbrook is a real guy.
Oh, yeah.
Jokic is a real guy.
Yes.
Jokic is not putting on a front to be this character. I mean, he is about, sometimes hams up some of his, like, oh, shucks, I hate my job or what have you. He hams those things up. But I think Jokic is a real guy, and real guys like real guys. They don't like performers. They don't like this or that. And I think there's something, too. Will you sacrifice your game for James Harden? That sucks. Will you sacrifice yourself and your ego and everything else for Paul George? That sucks too. Kawhi Leonard doesn't even talk to anyone and shows up to practice only when he feels like it. That sucks. But you know what? Jokic is the guy that let Austin Rivers have the main court. Jokic is the guy that will shoot 0 times if that's what the game calls for. And there's at least hope. So I understand the skepticism about somebody changing this late in their career into the degree. But I also understand that there's a lot of people that have come through Denver and said, my faith in basketball has been restored.
This is true.
And that I grew up and learned something different. And I just think there is at least a hope that Westbrook comes here and is like, you know what? This is what it's all about.
I don't think that's far-fetched at all. Like, I think if we were talking about this move happening 3 or 4 years ago, it would be like, well, you're bringing that guy in, he's going to start. I mean, like, you don't bring Russell Westbrook in to come off the bench, but you do bring Russell Westbrook in at this stage in his career where he's already gone through the change, and it's not difficult to communicate to him early on. Like, we're looking to you to bring the same role that you just brought with the Clippers, and he can be like, okay, cool, I can do that. Like, I can bring energy to your bench. I can, give that side of the rotation some juice and a little bit extra. I'm surprisingly excited about this. I cannot believe myself. Like, this tells you that your principles are only your principles until you're given the one opportunity to abandon them. And as soon as my biggest enemy puts on my my favorite uniform, he becomes my friend.
I do want to get ahead of it because there will be a watch along where we're sitting up here and Russ is terrible and we're losing our mind. Russ is going to have some bad games.
Oh, yeah.
And take some terrible
And
shots.
take
so
some
did
terrible
Reggie.
shots. There are going to be moments where it is the
we might complain about the bench this year.
it is the famous Arrested Development meme to some extent, right? But
Oh,
it might
totally
work for
is.
us. But it might. No, but I buckle up for, I think, moments where you go, this is really frustrating. But again,
For us,
frustrating. Very important to remind ourselves how low the bar is and how the Nuggets were still able to win 57 games. And so there's a chance here for the bench to be even better, I think, and it's worth it. It's worth trying, especially given what the situation was.
Here's the other thing that I'm very excited about. I just think that Jamal Murray needed this. And by this, I mean somebody that can call him out on his bullshit that has the standing in the NBA of his level. Not a KCP who's a great player, but a great role player.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook is I don't know how many time All-Star and a former MVP. He is a guy that is respected in this league, that is liked in this league, and that has achieved a lot. And while he is now at a lower part here, I think, and I've been told, Westbrook brings that energy that you see in games. He brings it literally every day. Not every game day. Every day. A 5 a.m. workout guy. One of those guys that does obsessive things to maintain his body and his speed and his conditioning. And I just think there's a chance that being in training camp, Murray being in training camp with him, think about that. He's going to square off with Russell Westbrook on day one of training camp. Not Jalen Pickett, not Reggie Jackson, not those guys. Russell Westbrook. And you think Russell Westbrook's just going to win his pickup game and quietly walk to get a little cup of Gatorade? No, he's going to get a layup and start talking as loud as he can. And Murray responds to that. And I think that this could be great for him specifically.
I love this take. I mean, Russ will start talking if someone's late to the gym. But late by his standards, by the way, not by...
Oh, you didn't work out this morning?
Oh, you weren't there?
You didn't get shots
up?
up?
You weren't there?
Oh, that's funny.
And this is not... You know who couldn't do that to Jamal? Bones Highland, right?
1,000%.
But I do wonder if Russ can. And because there would be mutual respect there, too.
Right.
It's not just like fear and bullying or whatever. A guy that Murray can say... Like Murray, to some extent, rightfully can say, like, very few guys can do what I've done at the highest level. And by the way, Russ isn't one of them. But he is a former MVP. And that's different. And so I wonder if it commands respect, and not even just respect or even something on a conscious level, but rather just this always pushing you forward. And before you even know it, you're a better professional.
And forget just Murray, because I don't want to just pick up on him, even though I think he's the most important one for this one. The Nuggets have not had an edge. The year they won, they had an edge more than anything, and I think Bruce had a lot to do with that. Also, just being hungry, coming out of purgatory, they were hungry. I think the Nuggets are going to have an edge this year that we have not seen. That home crowd, I think, you're going to have an energy to this team on a Tuesday night in Orlando. You're going to have an energy that Russ brings that I think they were sorely missing.
entirely possible. Entirely possible. I'm actually
possible, but do you think?
Well, I feel like we are on the precipice of like a new chapter of the Denver Nuggets where we were obviously the whole time we've been here, felt like we were always building towards something, and then it happened and we didn't quite know how to do it after that at all. We didn't know what we were allowed to say, how we were allowed to be. I'm actually pretty excited at the climb happening again, like with personalities like Russell Westbrook being brought into the fold, with like different play styles, with like a little bit more gamesmanship about it wasn't just like kind of run it back, what just worked. The league had an opportunity to counter what the Nuggets did, and it worked. They were able to, stop them in their tracks. But now the Nuggets have the ability to sort of look at that and then make another move. And so there's so much intrigue for me to see like how a lot of this will work out, because I can understand what the ideas behind these moves are, but you just don't know how it's going to play out. The things you're saying could absolutely be a dynamic. There could be, Jokic is the vocal leader, we're told. He's also just more the do as I say, not always or do as I do, not always as I say. Russell Westbrook will yell at you,
Yeah.
Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know.
Westbrook's going to be Little Petty. He's going to be Jokic's Little Petty.
Little Petty?
Little Penny. So then,
A Little Penny or Little Petty?
Little Penny. Remember Little Penny? Because Penny
not
Hardaway
our
had
homie
no
no
charisma.
filter? Yeah.
No charisma. So they needed Lil Petty to be his internal dialogue.
This is Key and Peele, where they had Obama's anger translator, where Russell Westbrook can just carry out all of Jokic's desires out on the court. So I'm like super interested. This is like all of a sudden a very intriguing season for me.
It's something
Super interesting.
It's something from our perspective. It's a lot more meat on the bone.
Oh, boy.
And it's different than just, the bench is bad. I mean, this is Russell Westbrook. This is, again, not just this is a loud move, even on a minimum signing. It just has, it's something to talk about. It's something to think about, something to be curious about. Some of you even nervous about. But it sure is something. I never thought we'd see Russell Westbrook in Denver.
And I'm telling you, last thing, and then we'll throw it a break. But I just think that he will bring a pace. I've talked about this a lot. How Murray is the slowest point guard in the NBA at crossing half court every single time. Westbrook, man, does not run out of energy. He just sprints up and down the court nonstop. And I honestly think that will help the Nuggets and serve the Nuggets in a lot of different combinations. All right, let's take a break on the other side to put a bow on all of this. The storyline of Westbrook to me is actually kind of what you're hinting at here. That not only is it good for the championship, but also it's just an interesting story. Very different
else are we doing
from any
here?
other season so far of the Jokic era.
If you're new to Denver, if you're just looking to get out and about, if you're looking to meet more folks in the city, Volo Sports is the way to go. It's the modern day sport and social club for only $20 a month. And you are able to sign up with teams or as a free agent to meet new people, make some friends, be assigned to a team. All kinds of leagues, softball, bowling, beer in hand kickball, different levels.
Fight club.
Different fight club, that's right. Medieval MMA. With all different, just kidding on the last two, with different levels of competition, right? So if you're really looking to play in a competitive intramural league, you can find one. If you're just looking to keep a beer in the hand while you hang out with the fellas and the ladies, fellas gender neutral, you can do that too. It's the best way to meet new people, get active and play games in the great city of Denver. The Volo Pass is only $20 a month, and you can travel with it. Any city that has Volo, if you have a Volo Pass, you're eligible. How sweet is that? Sign up on the Volo app using code DNVR3 to get a Volo Pass. DNVR3, and it's only $10 a month for the first 3 months. Get out there, man. Get active, get social, get Volo in your life.
Yeah, it's cool to like have plans that you don't have to make. You just show up. Like, they already made all the plans.
And then you find a neat bar nearby when the games are over. I don't know,
you
like
get
maybe
blacked out on a Tuesday.
Like maybe this one. The American Raptors, Colorado's professional rugby team, they play at Infinity Park, which is a beautiful little venue.
Hell yeah, it
I
is.
really like going there. It's a nice summer activity. And if folks didn't know, it's not just the home of the Raptors. It's not just the home of rugby, which we cover at DNVR via the DNVR Rugby podcast and our guy Colton Strickler. They've also made themselves a great spot for family hangouts in the summer with their movie nights. For example, save the date and come out to Infinity Park in Glendale, Colorado for movie night on Monday, July 22nd with a special showing of Barbie. Gates open at 6 p.m. and the movie starts at 7. Moviegoers are encouraged to bring their own chairs, blankets, and pack coolers with their favorite snacks. Please do leave grills and glass containers at home. For those not bringing food, on-site food trucks will offer delicious options for purchase. All movie nights in 2024 are free to attend. Free. So don't miss out on this fun, family-friendly event at Infinity Park.
Hey, Brendan, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
You're going to go see Barbie with me?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, well, I'm busy.
Oh, okay.
Classic D-line.
I'll go by myself.
Jump off a bridge. Westbrook storylines here. I put this out on Twitter. It was not very popular a take, so maybe people disagree. But I think this will be the most popular team of the Jokic era.
Oh, yeah.
People were very against this for some reason. I mean, look, another low bar, right? The Nuggets have never really been popular. This last year, to me, was the most popular year. This was the year they got all the national television games.
Yep.
They won the title, and they became popular during the playoffs.
Yeah.
But in the lead up to that season, they were not a popular team.
Nope.
They were off the radar and just not on television. I think Westbrook brings a set of eyeballs that will be different. I think there'll be a lot of television games, and I think they'll be talked about more than most teams because of Westbrook, and there might even be more high-profile fans in the stands. Like, we might actually see somebody besides Ken Jeong in the stands of Ball Arena today.
I'll tell you what will change for sure. The Toyota chat. There's a whole section of just Russ fans that are going to
Welcome
become
aboard.
Welcome
Welcome
they're going to
aboard.
be part of the family, for better or worse.
Let's be cool.
So, okay, let me ask a kind of silly question because he's so far past his peak, so it's not. But just name power alone, is there still any chance this is like the most high-profile free agency signing in Nuggets history?
Oh man.
In Nuggets
I mean,
history?
he's it's a minimum, and he's old, so
Yeah. I mean, look, here's the thing. It's on the. I'd have to go through and really see
Paul
because I'm sure
Millsap
there's
and
another
Bruce
one
Brown.
or two of these
Yeah,
around there
yeah.
where it's like,
Yeah.
you're forgetting when they got so and so at the very end of their career.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, interesting. We've seen the prime effect happen in Denver, Colorado. There's, I think you're right. Russell Westbrook brings.
He might actually bring Coach Prime to
That's
Ballroom.
I was just gonna say that.
After
Peyton
years
Watson,
of trying.
There's an LA culture that Russell Westbrook
1,000%.
represents.
Yep.
Obviously, he's played for both teams. He's from the area. He played for at UCLA.
Yeah.
Peyton Watson
Yep.
considers him to be a mentor and a friend. Peyton Watson, very
Called him his
obviously.
closest, I believe. I
Yeah.
tweeted out, Dev had a tweet about this from Media Day, his rookie season.
Yes, Peyton Watson also very tied into LA culture, but LA culture is a big basketball area of the country, obviously. So there are definitely people that have followed his career that are going to follow him into the Toyota chat. Again, we welcome you. Please be nice to us.
You know what's interesting? I'm thinking about this because he called him his big bro and mentor. Peyton Watson did.
Yeah.
This could end up being really good for Peyton Watson. You know, that's another guy just of like having a guy at Westbrook. You know, Peyton Watson, we know, is a guy that kind of tied himself to Jokic. Like, I'm going to do what he does. I'm going to do this. But having Russell Westbrook also as a guy of like, yeah, man, we're getting to the gym tonight. We're getting some
Man.
shots up. It could be good.
I thought this whole LA thing might take Peyton out of Denver. Turns out it brought Russ.
LA, it
LA's
brought
coming
LA.
here,
It's
baby.
It went the wrong way, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It went like the housing market.
That was my next thought after the Murray thing was how will this be good for Peyton and how? It's definitely a vet to take him under his wing. It's definitely a guy who's seen a lot in his league and has seen his role change a lot. So I'm curious to see if how at all he's able to take him under his wing.
Will the Nuggets be loved or hated or not cared about? I think Russ brings a level of villainry to the Nuggets.
Oh my God, yes. He should wear and what better time in Jokic's villain era?
That's right.
We really are. We were the gold. I made a big fuss about it being the golden nuggets versus the chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
Now it's the darkened tart
dark
nuggets.
nuggets?
The dark nuggets are upon us, dude.
Doesn't quite have the ring to
Well,
it.
listen, I just came up with it right now. I got to think about it a little bit more. But yeah, man, like the villain era Nuggets, like the bad boys of the NBA. Interesting. Like, I don't know if this is a dynamic that I'm ready for, but listen, I can toughen up. I can be a jerk, you guys.
Yeah, you can.
I'm ready to be a jerk. If my favorite team is leading the way with being a jerk, I'll follow right along. I'll follow suit.
In Denver's brightest timeline, Jamal and Russ become the most annoying people in the world to play against.
Dude, Murray is dope when he's a villain.
I
when he's
know.
tough like that. And that's why his line about, well, we were the hunted this year and it was kind of hard. It's like, no, man, you're a villain. Go piss everyone off, man.
Yeah.
Every team should hate your guts.
Maybe the dark
Like, you know what one of the dopest
Nuggets,
things.
keep going. We're working on it. Kel, cut the mic.
Remember when Murray just like dribbled past Lonzo and everyone got so pissed off?
Of course.
And like they should have been because it was a weird move, but you know how he did it?
To be a dick.
Yeah, be a dick.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I like Murray. There is a me against the world thing in there, and if it's channeled in the right way and encouraged in the right way, maybe he and Russ can team up to become really annoying to play against.
I know.
Here's the last great storyline for me. If Jokic pulls it off, or if the Nuggets pull it off, if Westbrook buys into the culture, has a good year, wins a championship, and it's a positive story, because to your point right now, a lot of people, I think, view Russ as an all-time great who's not a winner. Doesn't necessarily play winning basketball.
Yep.
But if he comes here and plays winning basketball, and if it's like that, it's another feather in Jokic's cap to some degree of like, yeah, man, he was a real one in a league full of fake ones. He was a real one that inspired even a guy like Westbrook to kind of buy in and become part of a team. Russell is kind of a one-man team. That's why the triple-double stuff was both awesome and also like, I don't know, is supposed to be happening. But you bring him in now, and if he absorbs into the culture and does this, it's actually an awesome storyline. And there are these storylines throughout history of players of his ilk that went somewhere and bought into the culture and changed who they were. And to me, it's a storyline that I would love. It would be an incredible, incredible chapter in the Jokic era.
Dude, we're really going to stress test the Nuggets culture with this.
Yeah.
We're going to find out if it's real. Like, you bring a volatile well-established character like Russell Westbrook into the fold, and if he's the one that acquiesces and actually comes along and finds and plays the way the Nuggets play, then we can actually start making this a thing. Like the Nuggets culture is a real thing if they can have a guy like that fit in to the fold and actually be successful. I can't believe we're winning the championship. Let's go, dude. I'm so hyped now. I can't believe it took one podcast. I'm back.
Last one I have for you is I think home games are going to be different this year. Just the energy. There's one thing about a guy getting into it with another player. That's when a fan base gets the loudest at home. And I just think that there's going to be an energy and edge to the Nuggets home crowds this year that has not necessarily been there. They've been loud. They've been joyous. It's been a fun place. I think this one's going to be a menacing place. I think Ball Arena became more menacing.
That take led me to another place and name
The Black Ball
that we forgot in the villain part here.
We're crushing it.
Let's also while we're getting greedy with hypotheticals, can we get the Christian Brown heel turn too?
Let's get it.
You know what
Westbrook,
I mean?
drag it out of him,
Westbrook,
man.
Christian
Brown,
Black?
Jamal. All right, let's go to Super Chat.
This is so good. Super Chats, baby. What do we got?
Oh man. Druid Trading, greatest Denver Nuggets team of all time.
Let's
Brown
go.
will equal KCP this year with improvements. MVP Russ over Reggie. Saric over Zeke. If Murray stays healthy, 60+ wins.
Dude.
Also, MPJ All-Star 2025.
I see no lies.
That guy was just flamethrower.
Throwing
Just-
out 5 pepper takes. Tell you what, George Karl loves the move, which I find to be so interesting.
That is so funny to me. I can't explain it.
I've
Dude,
never
you know-
seen him praise a front office move. This is pretty remarkable.
You know
actually.
what, though? Here's
This
the
is-
thing
this
about
is
George
notable.
Karl. He's an asshole, and he loves other assholes. Like, Russell Westbrook has George Karl's energy, does he not?
Yeah.
Like, he just like,
I don't-
yeah, everybody's a fight waiting to happen.
They'd hate each other if he was the coach, but I'm sure he loves them.
Oh my God.
They maybe not.
He
You
would
never know.
Latrell
He
Sprewell
loved
him.
Gary Payton. He had loved some weird guys that are, you wouldn't have guessed. But George Karl, honest to God, George Karl, a kind of a real one, even though he's a real asshole.
I'll tell
Yeah,
you
yeah,
what,
that's
one way
what
or
a real
another,
one
I'm
is.
excited to. One way or another, I'm excited to learn about Russ this year because you get what other people have.
Yeah.
They covered him. They got to know him.
Spoiler alert: he hates you.
Yeah, no, I know, but I want to know
I
what it
cannot
looks
believe
like. I
he
want to
is
know
going
what it
to
feels like.
Terrorize you guys.
Wind, me, Dev. It won't be Dev. Me,
It'll be
Wind,
me.
or you.
It'll be me.
Is it going to be the
Oh, yeah, dude.
It's gonna
hardest
be.
clowning?
He's going to be like, at the lock, he's going to be like, where's Brandon?
Yeah.
And then look around and like give the look.
yeah.
55555 ish. Follow me on this one. 2022. How to Russell W in Denver. Avs championship.
Oh.
2023. How to Russell W in Denver.
Oh, I
Nuggets
see.
championship.
Okay.
What about last
2024. No Russell W
What?
in Denver. No championships. 2025
Let's
question mark.
freaking go,
We are
dude.
so back, baby.
Let's try to not compare. Here's the difference: if Westbrook was brought into Denver to be the second best player, would have been a nightmare, or the first best.
Yeah, or the
player.
quarterback.
The quarterback is the first best player. If Russell Wilson was here to be the backup quarterback, like, all right,
Or if he was here to just like, kind of fight with the other team. Although he
Yeah.
would be terrible at that too. He'd screw. I saw a TikTok where the Steelers fans have started to talk themselves into Russell Wilson. It is so delightful. They were like, "Oh, hey man, dark horse comeback player of the year candidate." Enjoy.
Friend of the show, guest of the show, Cedric Exquisite. We are so back, baby. Let's get this 2025 chip.
I love it.
Another one from Cedric. P.S. Thanks, Eric and Adam. I started Mr. Nugget Exquisite for basketball coverage. One love. Hashtag hot take, please rate. 60 wins. Jokic 4th MVP. Jamal All-Star. Russ 6th man.
Wow,
1,000 peppers.
Yeah.
1,000 peppers.
that's every
1,000
pepper.
peppers for that man. Big Namek. Russell Westbrook. I just- wow.
Russell Westbrook.
That made me feel like Bill Simmons. Denver Ghost called Westbrook 8 years ago. Check at Smoke Nugs. Tahir, 27 better come to camp ready because Russ will be ready to go 100%. I like this fit to push Jamal because sometimes he needs to be checked and Jokic is quiet. We agree. Kenzo's creation. My hope is it works out kind of like when Randy Moss went from Jokeland to New England. I think he will thrive in the right situation.
Hell yeah! I hear that. We got Randy Moss. Let's go, dude.
Perfect. Everything's
Outside my
fine.
house.
Tahir again. If Malone sticks to one starter for bench players, I hope MPJ staggers. Strong agree with this one. Keep Jamal with Yoke and let Russ push pace off the bench.
We'll have to get into this next week, man.
Dude,
Yeah.
can we get Russell
stagger.
Westbrook on the show?
Big year
I've
for
always
Malone
wanted
as
to
well.
get punched by Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, he's not going to come on, man.
Okay.
That'd be
cool.
so dope if he did.
Yeah.
He punched me?
Can you imagine if he came on the show?
He's just really nice to us.
We're the nervous ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's awesome. The whole time we're like, oh, man, I got to apologize again.
Chris Brown. Is it Brown? Do I
Uh-oh.
call you Brown
Are you
or
Braun,
are you
dude?
Braun? Well, we're just going to
It's
go
Brown.
with Brown, and you know why. Does Ryan Green sell his photos? Going to
Yes.
see if I can get a framed copy of the AG Russ fight and have Russ sign it.
Hell yeah.
That's
hilarious.
fucking awesome.
Easiest way to get in contact with RG about that is to DM him on Instagram.
There you go.
Easiest
There's
way
your
to
answer.
send pictures of your genitalia, too. DM.
Yeah, if you just send them to
He
him. He
loves-
likes that as well.
Do that,
It's actually
please.
explicitly stated.
Please do not do that.
Not to do
Or
that.
do,
Not
whatever.
to do that anymore. What do you think, fellas? Is
that
that good
it?
enough for a show?
It's good enough for a week, man. It's good enough for a week because we're gonna take a little 3-day weekend, much deserved, much earned, I would say.
I don't know if
working
that's
like
true.
we've been doing shows for like 9 days in a row. I think
I
we
know.
could take a little.
Yeah, let's do it.
break here
The
for
fellas
3
are
days.
tired. We had to go to Las Vegas.
Yeah,
we had to.
Dude, for real talk though,
Yo, I'm
I slept
more,
like 12 total hours.
I'm incredibly tired.
Yeah.
I was so proud of you guys for pushing through.
Dude, I'm so
Always
tired.
do.
I'm so tired that I am 100% in on Russell Westbrook on my team.
You're gonna wake up all rested on Monday and be like, "What?
What the? Ah!
Do the show again? Hold on." It finally happened, man. It finally happened, and I'm excited. The Nuggets roster is set, and I will go ahead and say unofficially/officially, today marks the end of the off season and the beginning of the deep off season.
Oh my God.
We're
God,
going
We
to
need
the
to
deep-
release a calendar, dude.
It's the deep off season. When we get back, hit the like button on the way out.
Let's go.
We all silly like the mayor.